Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. So I want to say welcome today to Laney College Library. My name is Evelyn Lord, and I'm the head librarian here. We have a really special program today called Herstory 2. And the reason why it's Herstory 2 is because back in 2018, we had Herstory 1 here. And it was a similar program from Dr. Chen, and today we're having Herstory 2 come back. Before we get started, I want to say a few things about the program. This is our first program in the library, one of our first programs, actually. We've had a few, but it's a bigger program. We've got Peralta TV here today. We have a reception, and we have some dignitaries here. So it's our first special program like this since the pandemic. And it's so exciting to be back here with people in the library and learning and discovering things together. We have an exhibit today, and after the program, I'm hoping that Dr. Chen will be available to, as we look at the exhibit, she may be able to answer questions and tell us more about some of the stories that are highlighted. We have a story of the legal history of Chinese American women, and these are stories that are important and often overlooked. And some of the stories have local connections, which I find very fascinating. But I have to say one thing about it is it takes a lot of courage and conviction to pursue legal remedies. And the stories that are in this exhibit, the women all had extraordinary courage and conviction. And we all benefit from that, and I'm so grateful to know more about them today. I want to say a few thank yous. I'd like to thank Reginald Constant, who is not here today, but he is the person who got this program organized. I also want to thank Judy May, who organized our food for the reception from the local restaurant Mint Leaf. I want to thank Agustin Rodriguez, who set up our audio-visual, Jason Lockhart, one of our dedicated librarian custodian, Peralta TV for coming here for this event, and President Besikoff for funding our reception today. Unfortunately, President Besikoff is not able to be here today because he's at the EOPS graduation ceremony, and that's also very important at this college. So he's here in spirit, and we will have our Vice President, Dr. Apsara, will be speaking in a few minutes on his behalf. As we begin, what I'd like to do is we have a couple of dignitaries here, and I want to introduce them. We have Director Sophie Chow, who is from the Education Division of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in San Francisco. Thank you. And then I also want to recognize and actually ask if you would come up to say a few words. Dr. John Yu, who is the Deputy Director General of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in San Francisco. Thank you, Mr. Yu.
Thank you so much.
Head Librarian, Vice President, Dr. Chen, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Chang C. I am the Deputy Director General of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in San Francisco. It is my great honor to be here, a part of this event of the opening ceremony of the Herstory 2 exhibition. On behalf of my office, I would like to congratulate the college and the library for hosting this important exhibition, and I will praise Dr. Chen for her many efforts and accomplishment on digging out so many brave Chinese American women's story of pursuing justice in the United States. Because this month marks the AAPI month in the United States, I think it's more useful, more meaningful, the event to be launched here and now. So congratulations. Dr. Chen comes from Taiwan. She is a genuine leader on women's issue and civil rights issues. So we are very proud of her. I also like to take the opportunity to tell you that Taiwan is a democratic country with a vibrant civil society. Taiwan is a leader in Asia and in the world on women empowerment and gender equality issues. Our president, Dr. Tsai Ing-wen, is our first ever female president in Taiwan. And in our parliament, female legislators take a share over 40% of all seats, which is one of the highest in East Asia. And in fact, Dr. Chen had once been a prominent lawmaker in Taiwan as well. So today, congratulations and thank you for your invitation. I wish the exhibition, the event, very successful, and you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chu. Now I'd like to bring up our Vice President of Instruction, Dr. Becky Apsara.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. On behalf of Laney College, I would like to welcome all of our guests and, of course, all of our students and employees to this exciting event here at the library. We are really happy to be having on-campus, in-person gatherings. It brings a whole sense of vitality back to the campus, and I appreciate you being here today. I'm here because President Besikoff is speaking at the EOPS graduation ceremony, which is also very exciting. But it's my pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to hear the speaker. I'm glad that I got this assignment. John and I were talking about how we get periodically sent to places when our bosses can't go, and I'm really happy that I got sent here. I would have come anyway if I had to, if I wasn't asked to. But very briefly, we're excited to be celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month with this event. If you don't know, Laney College is a public community college. We serve Oakland. We serve anybody that really wants to come, but our student body is from Oakland. Over 25% of our students are of Asian American and Pacific Islander heritage. It's actually our largest percentage of students at the college. We are proud to be located a few blocks away from Chinatown and walk over there for lunch fairly often. And we're really excited to have this presentation here today. It's now my pleasure to introduce our special speaker, Dr. Chen, who's going to be talking about her book, Herstory 2, which came out in 2021. She grew up in Taiwan and moved to the United States about 40 years ago, where she earned, and this is really impressive, a PhD in biochemistry from Rutgers University and a JD from Columbia Law School. So imagine, for those of you who are Laney students working on your AA degree, good for you, keep going. You can earn 2 degrees just like Dr. Chen did. It's really, really very impressive. After that, she served as an attorney for at least 30 years. As John mentioned, she was elected to be a senator in Taiwan, and she hosted several television shows in her career. So she's all ready for Peralta TV. Thank you all for being here recording this as well. So it is my honor to introduce Dr. Chen and look forward to learning more about her book and all the research that she did about Chinese American women in the United States and their legal battles and how they fared in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. So thank you very much and welcome.
I'm so grateful when I see all my friends. Because of this exhibition, it's a traveling exhibition. All my friends have been assigned to come to the opening ceremony for at least 3 to 5 times. Even poor John Chu. And Sophie, she was with me last week in Las Vegas. And Lillian, you haven't been only once. Okay, you got 2 more times to go. But anyway, I come here to prove Confucius wrong. Because Confucius said, 宋宗凶, okay? Litigation only brings disasters to everybody. He was so wrong. If without litigation, I won't be able to survive, and all those women won't be able to be famous. So please, ladies, go sue somebody. Okay. All right. So this story is, it's more than 165 years, okay? We have been here for a long time. But why 165 years? Because I don't know how to change the slides. That's why we keep using this. That's my first book. I know John Wei here. I always try to make a movie. Either become a movie star or become a director. But then people told me, you're too old, so you can only be a director. So this is my first attempt, okay? Because I want to tell about the first story of Chinese American women in the Supreme Court. There were 22 of them shipped from Guangdong to San Francisco. And they were stopped by the immigration officer and say, hey, I think you guys are prostitutes. You cannot come here. There were 22 lewd Chinese women. 22 of them all came here. They were stopped at the port and accused of being the prostitutes. So they sued. And the witness was a white minister. A white minister say, in China, all the lewd women wear colorful belly bands. You know what that is, right? 肚兜, 肚兜. And so, because at that time, the richer, the more money you have, the bigger sleeves you have. So the lawyer just asked him to look into there to see what color is their belly band. And sure enough, they all colorful, like white and green and red. So the judge say, okay, you guys are all prostitutes. So the case was appealed to the Supreme Court, and they won. The Supreme Court justice say, I will not allow anyone to label another person by just one look, okay? So this case is reversed. So they all got to stay here. But people always ask me, were they really prostitutes or not? That's the mystery, right? I would imagine they were confronted by the immigration officer, big and white, and they were asked, what's your name? And then they were so stunned they couldn't say. And their friends next to them say, oh, I think her name is Ah Fong, So there we go, we have Ah, which is not their last name at all. So were they prostitute or not? You go think yourself, okay? After this book, I contacted Li An, Li An, the big director. I contacted him, and he said, I have a screenwriter who's really good. So I paid the screenwriter to write me a script. Oh my God, he wrote so big. And it started from a huge ship rocking in Pacific Ocean with 2,000 people in it. And I bring this to a director who said, are you crazy? He should write on a lamp, under a lamp, a beautiful woman in her solitude looking at the book. Because the first scene will cost $50 million, just that scene. A big ship rocking in Pacific Ocean. But a woman looking at a book under a light will only cost $5. They said, you got the wrong person. Okay, so my book, my script is still available for anybody who want to make a money-losing proposition, okay? Oh, but then the good thing come about it is Lian agreed for his wife to do oral history of Lian's wife, telling about what life is like to be married to 3-time Oscar winner, Oscar director winner, okay? Let me tell you what happened. I published the book, people know about it, it got sold maybe 20 copies from Amazon. And then one day I went to the bank. The bank teller said, hey, I want to buy that book, can you sell it to me, Lian's wife? I said, yes. I said, why? He said, because my father told me not to get married, and I wasn't convinced. And so he said, go read that book. So I want to read the book. So I gave her a copy, and 3 weeks later, I asked her, were you convinced? He said, yes, I will not get married. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or bad thing. What do you think? What do you think? Evelyn, you think that's a bad thing that I did such a horrible job? Anyway.
No.
No?
Young women have a choice now.
Okay. That's a good choice. That's a good answer. Now they can choose whether to get married or not. You don't have to get married. And then you don't have to give birth. And then you don't have to give birth to son, right? Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, then in Taiwan, we had an art exhibition. This is, we put all the story, and this is a mirror maze made up of 72 huge mirrors. And then we embedded at least 1,000 LED lights. So the effect is amazing. But I cannot bring it here. I want to show it in the US, but San Francisco Library was nice enough to say, we have a homeless population. They will come in and smoke pot and get high. So anybody who drag out by the security may get hurt and will be sued, and we cannot pay for that. So it's still lying in Taiwan. So I don't know. Okay, this is Vincent Chen. He was a young man who wanted to get married and celebrated with his friends in McDonald's. And 2 white workers in Detroit's car factory thinking he was Japanese. And they lost job because of the Japanese car selling here. So when he walked out, the 2 white men followed him and beat him to death with a baseball bat. So basically, then his mother helped him sued, and then her mother sued on his behalf. She won. But how do you get 2 workers who has no jobs to pay $2 million? So nothing. But however, because of Vincent Chen's death, it united the Asian communities. So that's the start of the civil rights movement. We help to protect ourselves. Okay, my exhibition has been busy, right? That's why all my friends were assigned to at least 3 libraries. Look, we started in 2015, and we go all the way, Laney College, University of Washington, everywhere. This year, and then Las Vegas, Laney College again, yeah. So, yes. So look at all this. Now you know I have a disease called overactive. Attention deficit, that's me. Okay, when we first started, Google in the Library of Congress and I type in Chinese American women, and the result is 0. So now, today, if you type in, you will find 240,000. So before, General Chiang Kai-shek's wife, Madame Chiang Kai-shek, was categorized under general's wife. What kind of category is that? So now she's under Chinese American women, although she say, I'm not American, but she was buried in New York. You wonder how that come about. If you're not American, why are you buried in New York? Okay, her story. This is my first book. When I wrote that, we only have 3 Chinese, maybe more, but at least I only found those. We have a federal judge, Judy Chu was the first Chinese American Congresswoman, and Elaine Chao was the cabinet secretary. But now, look, we have at least those, okay? We have all of those women. I was very touched when I went to Half Moon Bay to buy some seafood. And on the deserted street, I saw a little sign. It says, Evelyn Chu for Congress. Isn't that a touching? So women finally know their rights. Okay, this is our book. This is the first case. And this, look at 1885 Mamie Tape. You have to say Mamie Tape because her parents sued San Francisco Board of Education and have them erect a school called
Spring Valley.
Spring Valley. Oh, Mamie Tape because she wanted to go to public school, and school principal was a white woman and say, no, you cannot come. So they fought, they won, but San Francisco Board of Education passed a law to say that we will set up an Oriental school for Chinese. So now today, the school is there. It's called Gordon Lau Elementary School, right? No. Yeah. Anyway, let me tell you who Lotus Fan is. She is like very active in community. And when I first had my exhibition, I have no idea what's going on. At the last day, they told me to deinstall, okay? And here comes Lotus Fan. I never saw her before in my life. She came and she take down everything, told me this has to take down, and then she rolled them up and put it in my car. And she said, now go home. So before I finished the draft of Herstory 2, she came to my house, also unannounced, and she take my manuscript and correct it. She graduated from Yale, she's really, really very good. Her English is like, that's her first language. So she always come to help when you least expect it. That's Lotus Fan. Okay, this woman is Mabel Lee. She was the first PhD, female PhD from Columbia University. Can you imagine? And then when she was 16 years old, before that, she rode on a white horse and lead 1,000 women marching on the street of New York, asking for women's suffrage, voting rights. So that's her. Chinatown Post Office in New York, in her honor. This is Dr. March Fangyu. I know there's a big fan of Dr. March Fangyu. Her claim of fame is she noticed that woman, when using toilet, has to pay, but man doesn't have to pay for public toilet. So when she ran for school board or whatever, she took a toilet, that's right, put it in the steps of State Capitol building and smash it. That smash gave her 2 million votes and sent her to politics for the next 19 years. Isn't that great? So she finally, she was too old, she retired, and she served as an ambassador to Micronesia in 2019. She's passed away now. It's very sad because she lived in a gated community in Pasadena. But one day, a robber came in, and she was downstairs. Her husband was upstairs, and so her husband couldn't hear it. And the robber dragged her hair all the way. Cash, give me cash, all the way through the first floor. And then she finally was able to find $300, and she was sent to the hospital. The robber did never know she was, the Secretary of State, ambassador of Micronesia. But anyway, very sad. So she was treated, and the doctors asked her niece, should we, after that, another tragedy, because her husband didn't come to her aid when she was screaming for help. They divorced after that. And then, after that, her niece lived with her. And one day her niece say, do you want to get up? Let's go for a walk. And she got up, and every bone in her body crashed. I have no idea how that happened, but that's what say in the medical record. Every bone crashed. So I don't know whether this was due to that robbery, but how can you sentence that guy long enough to pay for all this crime? So that's March Fang Yu. She grew up in Oakland on top of a laundromat. Isn't that great?
She came to Laney
Oh,
and met the librarian
oh,
before me.
really? She graduated from Laney? No, she graduated from Stanford.
It was when she was Secretary of
A
State.
state. Oh, yeah.
Very visible.
And this is Chu Mi. She's 85 now. She was the first important female employee who worked for Library of Congress. It's because she has a very good upbringing. Her grandfather was the revolutionarist in Taiwan, and so she is fearless. So when she applied for Library of Congress for a job, they didn't even give her an interview. So she sued and won and got the job. So she worked there for the next. Have any one of you have experience with Library of Congress? You have? Really? No. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Oh, okay. I went there because I was so admire Library of Congress. Number one, you could not find which door is for what. Okay, you cannot find it. And number two, nobody will pay any attention to you. And number three, even if you talk to the librarian, they won't look at you. I don't know what's the problem, but that's a nightmare. Anyway. So originally I know Me Chu, so at least I know somebody in Library of Congress. Now she retired. Now I know nobody. Okay, and that's Helen Liu. She lived in San Francisco. I didn't only want to do California, but they are the most courageous Chinese, Taiwanese in the U.S. Helen Liu's husband was a very good writer, but very critical of the Chiang Kai-shek regime. So Chiang Kai-shek or somebody, or son or somebody sent 3 killers to kill him in daily cities. His house, in the garage. So after that, his wife sued Taiwan government. And usually there's a doctrine called State Act. You cannot sue the government, but somehow they overcome that. They lost in San Francisco federal court, but they won in the appeal. Appeal court say, I will never allow any foreigner come to the U.S. soil to kill U.S. citizen. So she got $1.5 million. $500,000 paid the lawyer, $500,000 for her son, and $500,000 for herself. She's now also 82 or something, live in San Francisco. I went to see her all the time. Anyway, so that's her. Her case set a precedent. So Khashoggi, the journalist, was murdered in Saudi Arabia embassy. They must read this case, so they decided to not kill Khashoggi in the American soil. They'll kill him in the embassy. So that's make the case very hard. Okay, Dr. Shuping Wang, finally someone from China. She was the first woman who find out that in China, when poor people in Henan village donated blood, the needle was not replaced after each drawing. So there were a epidemic of AIDS in Henan village. And China, of course, wouldn't let the news get out. But Dr. Xu Ping Wang was fearless. She said, let me pay for all the needles. Of course, the government won't let her. But then she was she was very outspoken. So finally, she was saved by an American journalist. So she left China. So she came here, still make a big thing. But anyway, she passed away suddenly in 2019. So we lost that fighter. And this woman, I think most of you know her. Her name is Sherry Chen. She lived in Ohio and she was accused of being a China spy. But anyway, the community, paid for her legal fees, and finally she won. After 6 years, she lost her husband during the 6 years, and she now lives by herself in Ohio. Sherry Chen. No, she was arrested. The police want to humiliate her publicly. Do you know that? Do you know police like to humiliate you publicly if they can arrest you? They always do it like at 4 a.m. with ambulance, like, so all your neighbor will come out and watch. That's when they put the handcuff on you. And Sherry Chen was handcuffed in front of all her colleagues. So that's the humiliation. No money can pay her back. She won $1.8 million. And that beautiful lady is Chanel Miller. And they say, what does Chanel Miller got to do with Chinese American women? Well, her mother is 100% Chinese, so she's mixed. We have more and more of mixed population now. So she is Chinese. She has a Chinese name. Her Chinese name is Zhang Xiaoxia. Okay, she was raped at campus of Stanford by a swimmer, Brooke Turner, very famous in the campus. And so she finally told her parents. Her parents fainted on the spot. I was raped. Anyway, so the news came, everybody came, and Brooke Turner's father came and say, what's the big deal? It was only 10 minutes. You ruined his life. Because Stanford say you can never set foot on Stanford. You can never, never go to compete in Olympics, and never. He is totally ruined. So his father was angry. Anyway, the judge gave him a sentence of 6 months. So that's too lenient. So a professor at Stanford started a campaign to recall Judge Persky. And Persky was the first one to be ever recalled in California history after 100 years. And then so 3 laws was enacted to prevent same thing happen to Chanel Miller after this case. So Chanel Miller now is a freelance writer. She wrote for New York Times. She's very happy, and she go around campus to talk all the time about equality, inclusion, diversity. Yeah, so she's good now. She's just as beautiful as this. Okay, that's it. Thank you. You have a question? Yeah. No questions? I look at John Chu, I'm so touched.
How do you find the women, and how do you keep finding more women to
Yeah.
interview?
I don't know. I think this job was assigned to me by God because I just called them and they would answer. Because I have been in Taiwan for a long time, so I'm very notorious, right? Notorious. And they all know me. So they know this is not from a spam. I just say, can I interview you? I'll buy you lunch. And they all say, okay. Yeah, even here in the States, I guess nobody asked them because I said, I want to do a really big story on you, your oral history. I'm writing an 85 years old Chinese opera singer, Qi Shufang. She is very famous because she was the best opera singer. She was in, like Chairman Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai went to see her show So after she came here, she lead a big group of 32 people to here to perform. And on the day they were supposed to depart, the leader of group, where is everybody? All 31 left, escape. They seek asylum. So 32 people, isn't that something? So after that, China don't send big group to out to abroad to perform. So that's Xiao Changbao, Qi Shufang. So that's legendary to me. So I interview her, but it's very, very interesting. She's 80 now, and she still perform all those like. I found her, and of course she doesn't know me, but she's from China, so it's harder for me. But I know somebody from China, so like he will be able to, Jiawei will be able to help me to find Qi Shufang.
I'm wondering if you have advice for our students that would help them as they go out to do more interesting things themselves.
Yeah, just don't give up. Don't give up, and don't already have a prejudgment of yourself. Like, oh, he's so famous, he's not going to look at me. Don't care. All he can do is say no, right? So I persist. Usually they cannot deal with you when you persist. After I can call you after 10 years, so it doesn't matter. You just persist. And also, it's very important to me. I finally realized that you say good things about people, and then that works. Like I try to court Evelyn. It's important to know her if you want to show here, right? I try my best for the last 4 years. So I think it's most important when you have the opportunity to do it in Facebook. Don't underestimate Facebook. You just find his Facebook and you follow. You always click love, 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 and you send like, oh, it works miraculously, because not everybody, if they don't have heart, then you don't need it. But if they just look at it, and then you can even see Tom Cruise. Oh, that's who I'm working on now. No, just kidding. We'll see. We'll see. He hasn't replied yet. You wonder why.
Okay, and I just want to say, your courting won me over, and I think it won all of us over. You're just such a great speaker, such wonderful, enriching stories. Thank you so much for telling those stories today. And we do have this wonderful reception here waiting for everybody to dig in. So I want to invite everybody to grab a plate and grab something to drink over there and enjoy our reception and take time to meet some of these dignitaries here and view the exhibit as well. Thank you all for coming.
I personally think women is a stronger race than men. And women has to take in so much more, okay? Childbearing, housework, not even make money, everything else. They face inequality all the time. Just because we're shorter, we are weaker, okay? So that's one. And then we are afraid to speak out, because men in the household always speak out for everything. So women are not used to speaking out for themselves. So that endangers their well-being. And I think especially Chinese, okay? Confucius say that lawsuit is disastrous, and women should always stay in the kitchen, okay? And gentlemen should never be near the kitchen. So women, although it doesn't matter how good they are, when the resources in the house is limited, women, the girls always suffer. So I think it's important for women, especially Chinese American women, to know that we are in America, is a country governed by law. So we should know how to play by the rules. That is sue, okay? So you're not suing for yourself. Look at Jean Carroll. She sued Trump. That's the first case being decided. I am so happy for her, okay? So now you don't have to feel ashamed you're raped and someone call you not my type, okay? So I think it's important for everybody to know. In the US, the rule of the game is litigation. Yeah. I bring my exhibit to more than 35 libraries and museums, okay? But I particularly like Laney College. I mean, it's not as glamorous, as elegant as others, but it's so warm. People here are warm, okay? So it's different. I hope Laney College can help a lot of people to change the image of Oakland. Oakland doesn't have a very good image. And then I think Evelyn said something I was very touched, because people who attend Laney College is usually the first one in their family who attend college. And I think this makes Oakland a very special place.